Facebook. So you know I like to have conversations with anyone and everyone, and despite the fact that he's called me Donkey of the Day twice now, Charlamagne the God and I have become friends, I will say. We spent some time together in New York City, and then other times we've had some fun on my TV show, as well as back and forth on Twitter. And you know, speaking of that, we posted a photo, both Charlamagne and myself posted a photo onto Instagram with he and I standing next to each other, and it caused quite a bit of controversy, quite a bit of stir. And so I thought, what better way to discuss it than invite Charlamagne's fans onto my Facebook page and invite Charlamagne himself onto my Facebook page live to have a good discussion. So without further ado, the host of The Breakfast Club, among many other things, and author of the forthcoming book, Black Privilege, Charlamagne the God. Hey, Charlamagne.
Hey, what up, Tommy?
Good to see you. So now I'm hoping that we've got some of your fans that have come onto my page now so that we can have an open and honest discussion and they can feel free to comment. Preferably, you know, not so many derogatory things would be nice, but, you know, whatever. It's a free country.
It's social media. You can't escape the derogatory things.
Of course not. Of course not. But let's talk about that, because after you and I were seen together in New York City and TMZ spotted us and you and I posted those photos together, there was quite a backlash from our little meeting and our little encounter, and then you said something on The Breakfast Club that also caused quite a bit of controversy. So first of all, let's talk about you and I hanging out together. There were some radio hosts that we won't even need to mention their names that seemed to think that you hanging out with me and Trevor Noah hanging out with me was bad for black culture. What do you think about that?
I think anytime you see situations like that, you have to ask yourself simply, do you want diplomacy or do you want division? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if somebody's misinformed, then it's our job to inform them. And like, you know, like I told you earlier, you can fight others through dialogue and education. I'm all for that. You know, I just don't think you should ever waste your time trying to explain who you are to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. If I have a few convos with you about, you know, the potentially dangerous rhetoric that you may put out there about our people, and I don't see you trying to adjust your rhetoric, you know, after that conversation, then I'm just going to say peace and keep it moving. Like, somebody can't correct something if you don't tell them what they're doing wrong. And a lot of times people may not be aware that they're doing something wrong until you correct them and have the conversation with them. So I don't understand how we can claim to live in the United States of America but want all of us to continue to be divided. Like, if I was to live my life like that, then I'm no better than a white supremacist. I'm no better than a white separatist. Like, that's not the way I want to live. Like, we don't live in a segregated country. We just don't.
Hey, Charlamagne, I was really disappointed, to be quite honest, with the way people reacted to that, because for me, and I told you this earlier, sometimes I feel like I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. If I hang out with someone like you or Trevor Noah or others, people of color, and I want to have that conversation and open up the dialogue, they tell me that me hanging out with you is bad for black culture, and they come after you and they come after me. But if I don't hang out with people of color, if I don't have that conversation, then they say I'm a bigot and I'm a racist and I don't want to talk to people of color. So I'm in a situation where I don't really care what people think, but I'm wondering, you know, in terms of trying to bridge the gap, what do I do in that kind of situation where it seems like I can't win with some folks?
I think you should follow your heart. And, you know, you always claim to be a God-fearing individual. So being that you're a God-fearing individual, you should treat people the way you think that God would treat someone. And, you know, when it comes to people's opinions, I got a boss, an old boss. His name is Cadillac Jack. You know, he's the one who hired me at the Breakfast Club. And he always told me about the rule of 10. And the rule of 10 is 3 people going to like it, 3 people not going to like it, and 4 people just going to be on the fence about it, waiting to see what happens. And that's just the way I live my life, no matter what opinion I'm expressing. It can be the most positive, most good-intentioned opinion in the world, but somebody will be against it. I literally wake up every morning and I tweet out, "Thank you, God, for blessing me with another day of life." And you'll have somebody be like, "You believe in God?" Or somebody will be, "I wish you died."
It's amazing.
That's just the era we live in. It's just the way of the world. So I don't even worry about things like that.
I want to ask you another question, too, that I haven't had a chance to ask you. So now, after you and I spent some time together, after Trevor and I spent some time together, you had Trevor Noah on The Breakfast Club to explain a few things. And, you know, I got to be honest with you, Charlamagne. I watched the interview. I thought he was fair. I thought he was nice. But after the fact, he kind of distanced himself from me and didn't want to have a conversation with me after he got some backlash for hanging out with me. And I didn't really think that was cool. You know, you have stood by me and said, hey, we're friends. I might disagree with her. I might hate everything that she says, but we can still have a conversation. I don't think Trevor necessarily did that, and I was a little disappointed. What do you think?
I mean, the heat's not for everybody, Tommy. Like, that's just the truth to the matter. Like, and Trevor's my guy, but I mean, that might have been a conscious decision that he made. Like I said, if I have a conversation with somebody and I feel like, it's not getting through to them, or I feel like the conversation isn't going anywhere, I'll probably moonwalk away from the situation myself. But I haven't gotten to that point with you. I don't necessarily think Trevor's at that point with you either. I don't know why Trevor, decided to fall back. But
Yeah.
you're not the first person that told me that. Like, I know a couple people that have been trying to reach out to Trevor, and he's kind of like, distance himself a little bit. I've spoken to him, so I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily the backlash that he received that made him, back away from you, or maybe it's because he just feel like the conversation wasn't going anywhere. I don't know. Or maybe he's just busy. I don't necessarily know.
Yeah,
what it was.
but you know what, Charlamagne, I gotta tell you, let's be honest. I never reached out to Trevor. Trevor reached out to me, and then for him to go back and say, "Oh no, I didn't send her anything. I didn't want to hang out with her," I thought that was a little cowardly. I didn't appreciate it. Trevor and I can still be friends, but I just think that you stick and you roll with people because you want to roll with them, and regardless of the backlash, you know who you are at the end of the day. But
yeah, like I said, some people can't handle the heat. Like the heat don't bother me, especially when I know what I'm trying to do. I just want, like I said, do you want diplomacy or do you want division?
I think you're right. Well, that's the next thing I want to talk to you about, actually, because TMZ captured us on the street and I asked you about Donald Trump. I know you're not a fan. I know you're not a supporter of Donald Trump, but he is our president-elect. We've had several folks that have come and met with Trump, whether they agree with him or disagree with him, Al Gore being one of them, Kanye West being another one. So, speaking to you about that and talking about diplomacy over division, I'm going to ask you again, if Donald Trump said, "Charlamagne, I'd love to speak with you," would you accept the invite?
I guess I would have to, because if I didn't, it would make me a hypocrite. And I mean, yeah, I'm always open for a conversation. I would definitely like to let him know where I stand. Like me, I'm an energy person, and I simply don't like the energy that Donald Trump gives out. I feel like we need a president that wants to build bridges, not walls, and we need a president that can bring the country together. And I don't believe Donald Trump is capable of doing that. Not to mention, I understand this is America, and one of the beauties of America is that you don't have to have any experience or any education to rise to the top of whatever field you choose to be in. But certain professions in this country, we need education and experience, and being the president is definitely one of them. I don't want the executive producer, celebrity apprentice as my president, but honestly, I truly don't care. Other than serving as a symbol of the possibilities of this country, Donald Trump, I don't feel has any effect on me all my life. So I'm just going to keep God first. I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to get this money so I can empower myself and I can empower others. But as far as the conversation, look, man, if a great social justice warrior like Jim Brown can have a conversation with Donald Trump, then I guess I could too.
Now, Charlamagne, I've been called a racist really more times than I can count. I don't think I'm a racist. You've said in the past you don't think I'm a racist. But do you think that label, because it's been put on folks like myself, it's been put on Donald Trump, and many others, do you think that we're too quick to label someone a racist or a bigot and dismiss them without really knowing the full story?
I think we're too quick to dismiss everybody without knowing the full story. I mean, that's one of the problems I had with your rhetoric, when it came to the Black Panthers or the Black Lives Matter. I feel like you weren't looking at those movements in their whole totality. I feel like you was taking, bits or watching certain people in the movements and painting the whole picture. And it's like you told me when we had a conversation about Trump supporters. I asked you in private, how could you empower somebody? I mean, how could you support somebody who empowers such hate? And you told me that wasn't the whole totality of the movement, but you did admit that it was certain people in that support Trump who are just straight up racist, but that doesn't represent the whole totality of the movement. So I feel like we all do that. Like, I watch a soundbite, from CNN or MSNBC or whoever and see a fight at a Trump rally, and then in my mind, I'm like, damn, all Trump supporters are racist, all Trump supporters are bigots. But that can't necessarily be the case, right?
No, of course not. But, I will say this, Charlamagne, and I said this to you earlier. I think that the Black Lives Matter group was started with the best intentions. However, I do think they lose some legitimacy when they are rioting and looting and causing problems. And it wasn't a few individuals, because when you have to declare a state of emergency and the National Guard has to be called in to several cities in the past year, I don't think that that's a few individuals. And I would hope that the movement itself, because they do have the best intentions in mind, would rein in their own and say, this is not us, this is not what we stand for. I have yet to see that. I'm hopeful that will come out of this movement. I know that they're a well-funded movement at this point, so I would hope to see that leadership. I just haven't seen it yet.
But isn't that what the media does, though? The media always focuses on the worst. So even if it is a group of people saying, look, that's not what Black Lives Matter represents, all we want is, justice for young black men. What we really want is for black men, unarmed black women not to be killed at the hands of the police. But when they are, we would just want some justice to be served. We don't want mistrials like in the Walter Scott case and things of that nature. So I think that they don't ever focus on those people. Like, just like with the Trump supporters, they don't ever focus on, the person who may say, hey, I'm with Donald Trump because he's anti-establishment or he's anti-government, or we feel like we need somebody from the outside to come shake up Washington. All they ever show on the news is the old rednecks who are like, back in my day, we used to treat them like this and treat them like that. So I think that's the media's fault.
No, I think, and I will agree with you that in part it could be, Charlamagne, but I mean, on a larger scale, and you and I have more conversations to be had about this, and I think there's more healing to come, but I do think when it becomes a state of emergency and the National Guard has to be called in, it's no longer even a dozen people, it's become much bigger than that at that point. But there's more discussions that need to be had, and I'm hoping with the change in presidency, we do have a change in the culture and the change in the way we discuss these things, and that we can come together, because that's the only way we're going to do it is when you and I talk. The last thing I do want to talk about, though, is your book that's coming out in April. I think it's an amazing message. It's called Black Privilege. Can you tell my audience a little bit about that? I think even my followers might find this really enlightening.
Yeah, Black privilege. Opportunity comes to those who create it. Like, I told you earlier, I believe in the power and privilege of God, and God created me exactly how he wanted me to be and who he wanted me to be. I'm a black man, and God didn't make any mistakes making me that way. When my father had sex with my mother, millions of sperm came out and only one got to her ovaries, and I was created. So it's a privilege and an honor for me to be here, and I have to live up to my God-given potential. I don't care what this society tries to tell me about me or myself. God designed me to win, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And we have to draw power and inspiration from somewhere to motivate ourselves to be successful. And for me, being one of God's children and being black is that motivation. Like, privilege isn't something that's given to you. I don't care, what race you are. You still have to work to unlock that privilege. Contrary to popular belief, every white person in America is not successful. I know. I'm from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. I grew up around so many poor and disenfranchised white people that it was ridiculous, So I just feel like, white people have to go out there and get it just like the rest of us. And in some cases, it may be easier for them and harder for us. But until that changes, we just got to go out here and do what we got to do. And black privilege is just about being aware of who and what you are and drawing strength from that. And we all have our own unique privileges. And this book is just 8 principles that I've learned in my life that I want to share because they help me. And I hope that they can help you unlock your God-given privilege too.
You've certainly done that, Charlamagne. And if 2 things we can agree on. One is that we're both motivated, enlightened, and we live our life for God. That's one thing. And then the second thing is that we're both fans of the Dallas Cowboys. And our team happens to be doing pretty well right now. So there we go.
Sports teams are a great example of how we should move in this country. Like, it don't matter if you're white like Jason Witten or black like Ezekiel Elliott. When you put on that uniform, you are all one, and you go out there and battle together. And the worst thing that has ever happened in America is that they lied to us and told us that we are the United States, and I've never seen us be more divided as a country right now. And 2 things that we have to do. Number one, it can't be about anything else other than good clicking up with good. That's all we need. We need good people to get with good people and try to make a change. And all the evil people in the world, F them. It's going to be people that want us to be divided. It's going to be people that's going to be racist. It's going to be people that's going to be bigoted. It's going to be sexist. It's going to be homophobes. We just got to throw our middle finger to them. And all the good people just got to get together, click up, and move this society forward. That's the only way that we're going to actually ever get to a good place.
I agree with you, Charlamagne, and thanks for having the conversation. We're going to stir things up. We're going to take on the narratives, and we're going to destroy them from both ends, but we're going to come together in the end because we both want what's best for this country, want what's best for Americans and the world. So thanks, as always, for being with me, and I hope to see you in New York City pretty soon. Come on the Breakfast Club, but you got to protect me because they come for me, and they come for me hard.
You got to be able to hold your own, Tommy.
I think I can do that at this point. If one thing that you can give me, it's that I'm tough as hell, and I take a lot of shit.
That's it. And you do, like I said, when you dish that shit, you got to be able to take that shit.
All right, Charlamagne, on that note, they're going to get mad at me because I'm swearing, but thank you for being with me, and I'll see you soon. Merry Christmas.